So last night, me and my son watched a movie last night, a documentary. It's about an hour and 15 minutes, an hour and 20 minutes long. And the movie was called Plandemic Indoctrination. Plandemic Indoctrination. Now, a couple interesting things about this movie. Number one is that I've never heard of this before, but this movie was banned from every social media platform before it even came out. And you can't find it on Google. You do a Google search, you can't find it. So the entire search engines, the entire realm of social media has totally banned and made this movie unfindable, unwatchable. And the question is why? Why? So I watched the movie. It was actually, I thought it was a very inspiring movie. I thought it was really sweet. I thought it was really moving. I thought there was a really, there was a strong intention made to stick to facts, stick to evidence, stick to documented information. I didn't really hear any kind of call to action at all. I didn't hear any call to violence or any call to harming anyone or any call to hate speech. All I heard was some different doctors and medical professionals giving their opinions about health, and then documented facts about the history of healthcare and medicine and vaccines and pharmaceutical industry, medicines. So why would something like this be banned immediately by every outlet, every social media, by Facebook, by Twitter, by Instagram? You can't even put the link. It's not even, I've never seen that before. You can't even, the link won't even, isn't even allowed to be shared. Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, LinkedIn, Google, you name it, whatever the major channels are of communication, this movie is not allowed to be shown. I know Mikki Willis, the director. His community's been connected to our community for years. We have a lot of interconnected circles. And what's interesting is this is a guy, I listened to his interview on a podcast with Brian Rose this morning. This is a guy who has just such a strong level of integrity, such a high level of integrity, so dedicated to truth, such a high consciousness, such an awakened being. And these are the people that are banned. Right? These are the people that no one's allowed to hear from. And then you have people that are so full of shit, like almost everything comes out of their mouth is nonsense, obviously and clearly. And these are the people that are our leaders. These are the people that are the ones that are making the policies. These are the people that are the ones that are trusted. These are the ones that the mainstream media clamors on every word they say and shares every word they say. So it's like the whole thing is backwards right now. The people that are of awakened consciousness and very high level of integrity and dedicated to truth are the ones that no one can hear from. The people that are dedicated to deception, that are dedicated to manipulation, these are the ones these are the people who are continually put in our face, right? So, do I know that every single thing that was shared in that movie was true? No, I don't know. Do I have to know? Do I have to agree with everything that's in there or understand everything in there is true to think that it should be something that people are able to watch and make their own decisions about and have discussions about and look at different aspects of it and look at different points of it? Freedom of speech is freedom of thoughts. Freedom of thought is freedom of speech. The more different ideas that we're exposed to, the more different angles of perception we're exposed to, the more we expand our consciousness. The more narrow the band of what we're exposed to, the dumber and stupider we become. So we want to become intelligent. That means we need to be open to hearing. We need to have access to multiple points of view that allows us to exercise the muscles of our brain, to work out the muscles of our brain, and to, through feeling into different angles and perspectives, expand our consciousness, expand in intelligence, expand in consciousness awareness, and make better informed choices, both logically, analytically, rationally, and intuitively. So, what do we do? Couple things, couple suggestions. First and foremost, the media is not to be taken seriously at this point in 2020, August of 2000. I hope at some other point, I envision, I feel, I dream that at some other point it's different. It's going to be different, but that point is not now. The mainstream media will distract you, manipulate you, deceive you, confuse you, disorient you, make you feel horrible about yourself, make you feel horrible about other people, fill you with anxiety, fill you with dread, fill you with self-loathing, fill you with low self-esteem, and distract you from accessing your own empowerment, your own inner liberation, your own unconditional self-love and love for all that you encounter, and your own inner harmony and inner peace, probably most importantly, right? Because the intention is to get you into a state of agitation, to get you in a state of a rage, to get you in a state of a fear, to get you in a state of anxiety, to disempower you, to then be able to control and manipulate you. So if you understand how that works, then you stop paying attention. You stop paying attention. And look, there can be a fear of like, well, then I won't know what's going on. I promise you, you will be able to feel much more clearly what's going on. You'll be able to know much more clearly what's going on once you tune all that noise out. What's going on is what's in front of you. What's going on is what's happening in your community, what's happening with your family, your children, your parents, your wife, your husband, your boyfriend, girlfriend. What's happening in the world is how we connect through social media, which is the next point. So we are at a potential now where we can be our own source of news, our own channel, our own news channel, our own media channel, right? We all have our own, or most of us, if you're tuning into this, have our own Facebook or Instagram or Twitter or whatever it is that we have, right? TikTok, if you're younger, we all have our own media channels, right? So what we can do is be dedicated to the truth. Be dedicated to the truth. Be dedicated to understanding the truth as best you can. Be dedicated to making sense of what's coming at you, the information as best you can. And really be dedicated to communicating with the highest integrity you can, the authentic truth that you are and that you perceive, moment by moment. So to clean up the noise in the channels of communication in the collective human consciousness, we start with ourselves. Does that make sense? We start with ourselves and we do our best to be dedicated to truth. We do our best to be dedicated to truth with humility, meaning like we may not always get it 100% right? But we're open to listening. We're open to a depth of listening, to continually be learning, growing, evolving, and expanding from a place of humility, which means listening. So there's a two-way communication. I'm communicating the truth as best as I see it in this moment, and you can trust that I'm dedicated to that. Even if I may get it a little bit wrong, you can trust that I'm dedicated to that, and that's what I am committed to, right? And then there's this depth of listening, this deep level of listening, which requires presence, which requires being present in the moment, right? So really listening to each other, really listening to ourselves, And allowing freedom of speech is the second point. So on my channel, on my group, there's freedom of speech. People are allowed to share their perspective, but if it's different than mine, if it's different than each other, it's not only allowed, it's welcome, it's appreciated, right? So on your channel, allow freedom of speech. If someone has a different perspective than you, if someone has a different way of looking at things than you, don't block them, unfriend them, delete them, cancel them or belittle them. Have the space for a conversation and create a space where differences of opinion doesn't mean someone needs to be called names or personally attacked, right? That's something that we don't need. So if we're dedicated to the truth, it's not a personal thing. It's just dedication to the truth and trying to discover what is in the highest and best for you, for me, and for all of us in this moment right now and in each moment that we find ourselves in. So these are the ways that we can make a shift in the collective consciousness through starting with ourselves, being our own media channel, opening the space for freedom of speech in our channels, welcoming it, opening the space for healthy conscious dialogue in our space, and setting the intention to be dedicated to truth and integrity and exploration of the truth and everything that we share.